Hello students, today we are going to take forth our discussion on the environmental analysis and diagnosis. We've already discussed about the characteristics or the features of the business environment, and we also talked about the internal environment, which is one of the components of the business environment. Today we are going to talk about the external environment, which is subdivided into two parts, the micro external environment and macro external environment. The micro external environment is the component of the environment which is directly going to impact an organization, wherein the organization will come in direct contact, frequent contact with the component, and it will have a impact if it changes. So let us look at what can be the components of the microenvironment. The very first is the consumers, the people who buy your products, the people who avail the services being given by your organization. They are your customers. And the basic purpose of any organization is to strive to achieve the benefits for its consumers, to satisfy the needs of its consumers so that they can earn profit from therein. So whenever you are talking about the micro environment of any organization, one of the major components would be the customers. As soon as there is a change in the taste or the preferences of the consumers, it is going to impact your organization's environment directly, because they have been your consumers, they have been buying your products, the products which are being manufactured by your organization. So as soon as their tastes and preferences change, if they want something different, then you will have to change your organization's policies accordingly. Now, when we did the Porter's 5-force analysis model, therein we talked about the bargaining power of buyers. And we said there also that if you have more number of consumers, lesser is the impact of any single consumer on the organization. So if you have a large number of buyers, out of that, even if one or two buyers or a small number of buyers would stop buying the product being offered by your organization, it would not impact you that much. But in case you have less number of consumers with a larger share uh, in buying your products, then the impact of such customers would be more on the organization. Right? So this is an example that there is an advertising firm. One firm, it relies on 10 accounts, which means it has 10 clients only for all its revenues. So these 10 consumers are giving 100% revenue to this particular organization. Now, if such an organization loses out one of its customers, it is left out with only say 9 customers, 9 consumers, 9 clients, then it is going to bring about an uncertainty in the organization as compared to some other advertising firm which has say 200 consumers, 200 clients. So they would be small clients. Each of them will be having very small contribution in the revenue of the firm. So out of these 200 clients, even if one of them will leave or two of them will leave, it would not be, too much of impact on an organization. But if the organization is having less number of consumers with a great share in its revenues, then it is going to impact the organization. The second component of microenvironment is the competitors. Each organization will be having some competitors. Some might be having more number of competitors, some might be having less number of competitors, but in any case you will be having people in the market who will be competing with your product. So you cannot ignore your competitors. You will have to know the prices at which your competitors are offering their goods and services. You need to know the services that they are giving. You need to know the features of the products that they are offering. You need to know about their R&D efforts, what kind of research and development they are doing in their product, so that you can keep abreast, so that you are not left out behind from your competitors. Then is the suppliers. Now, suppliers would be the ones who are providing you the raw material, who are providing you the equipments, and it also includes those who are giving you financial and labor inputs. So if you are hiring your human resource from one particular agency, then that is also a supplier. If you are taking your finances from a particular company, from some institution, then that is also your supplier. However, when we talk about the financial inputs or the financial supplier, we refer to them as financiers, right, which will be studying forth. Now, when you are talking about the suppliers, why do you need to study them, or why do you need to have an analysis regarding them while you are studying your environment? Because you have to see that the suppliers that you have chosen, who are giving you the raw material, who are giving you the human resource, they are meeting the quality standards which have been set up by the management. Whatever, if say you are buying a particular raw material and you want a specified product with certain specifications, then you have to see that the supplier that you are finding, the supplier who is giving you that raw material, is giving you that same quality which you want. Because अगर raw material अच्छी quality का नहीं आएगा जैसा आपको चाहिए, तो आपका finished product की जो quality है वो भी suffer करेगी. Then it must be at a fair price. आपको मार्केट के competitive rates पे मिलना चाहिए, and it must be available when needed. This is also very important, because if say a product is being manufactured, उसमें एक raw material चाहिए और वो raw material की availability delay हो जाती है, तो आपका पूरा production process रुक जाएगा. So that should not happen. The raw material should be, the supplier should be such who is readily available, who will be supplying you raw material as and when required. So wherever it is possible, the managers of the organization should keep in loop multiple suppliers, especially for the critical supplies. जो supplies उनको पता है कि इस supply के बिना हमारा सारा काम रुक जाएगा, हमारी production cycle रुक जाएगी, उसके लिए the managers must try to see that they are in contact with multiple suppliers rather than depending upon a single supplier. Then we have marketing intermediaries, which is, the intermediaries which will help you in finally taking your product or service to the actual consumers and customers. So those who help you in promotion, selling and distribution, advertising, the wholesalers, retailers, the transportation firms, the advertising agencies. If you have to conduct any marketing research, then there are specialized agencies for that. All these are your marketing intermediaries. They will be helping you in taking the product to the final consumers. Then next we have finances, which I have already told you that if the company needs to raise some funds, उनको financial inputs कुछ चाहिए, financial supplies चाहिए, then they can have it from shareholders by floating their shares if it's a public company, from debenture holders, or they can borrow it from the bank, they can take a loan from bank, or they can take it from financial institutions. All these are the finances and a part of micro external environment of an organization. Then publics. Publics is defined as some pressure groups or special interest pressure groups which can influence the action of the organization. तो आपका जो media group है, media people, या आपकी कुछ consumer associations हैं, NGOs हैं, which are working in the related industry जहाँ पे आप manufacture कर रहे हैं goods and services, they will be referred to as publics. Now it is very important, especially nowadays, if you see media groups की अगर हम बात करें, they can make out the brand image and they can break a brand image, right? So they can have positive as well as negative impact on the business firm. It depends what kind of information they are disseminating, right? So if you have to improve the image of your product, if you have to improve the image of the company, you will have to work with these networks, right? Because if something bad comes out about your company or about the products which you do not cater to on time, which you do not defend on time, then it can do a vast damage to your image, to the image of your organization, right? So it is very important that these publics, which we call as the special interest groups which are there, the organization must be in touch with them. The organization must be aware that what are the kind of say issues which they are raising. If there is any issue which concerns my organization, if there is anything that my organization is not doing in correct manner, I must correct it immediately so that there is no negative impact on my organization. Then lastly, under this we have your trade unions. So it is very important that the firm maintains its relationship with the trade unions, with the workers, because if the trade unions are not happy, if the workers are not happy, if your employees are not happy, it is ultimately going to impact the performance and productivity of the organization. So these were the components of the micro external environment which have a direct impact on a particular organization. Now we will talk about the macro environment, right, wherein we will have the components which are a part of general environment, or we also call it as a remote environment, because it will not come in direct contact with the organization. So it will be impacting the organization, but not only a single organization, it will be impacting the industry as a whole, or it might be impacting multiple industries. So it is an indirect thing, it is an indirect environment which is going to impact you. And if we talk about the action taken, how we can take action in it, then it is easier to tackle or to take action related to the micro environment because they are in direct touch with me, right? For example, if the suppliers are there, if I am facing some trouble with that part of micro environment with my suppliers, I can change my suppliers. I have a choice over there. But when we talk about the macro environment, it is more of an indirect action environment. It won't be very easy for me to take an action against it or to cater to it. I will have to bring about changes within my organization so that I can match up with these components of the environment. So let us look what all components are there. First is your legal political component. So legal component is your about your laws, the rules and regulations of the country, of the land. So it will include the existing laws as well as the proposed laws. One thing is that I must be aware my organization is following the existing laws or not. Plus, I will have to keep an eye that what are the future proposals about the laws. Is there any new law which is being proposed which can come and it is going to impact the functioning of my organization? Then I must work on it. Then political conditions are about the political stability of the country wherein the organization is operating. What is the attitude or what is the value system of the elected government officials towards the business role? Is the government which is going to be elected or which is right now, which has been elected, is it pro-business or not? Pro-business means it feels that the business plays an important role in the society, so they will foster the growth of business. It will be a good thing for the businesses across. But if the government is not very pro-business, then it might be a tough situation for the business people. So when you are talking about a political official or if you're talking about a political group, what is their attitude towards the role of business in society? It is going to have an impact on the industries. Then we have socio and cultural environment. So any organization, the management of any organization has to cope up with the challenges which is being posed by the changes in the social environment, in the cultural environment, which would be the values of the society, the customs of the society, the preferences of the society, right? So say for example, uh, uh, this is the most general example which is taken when we talk about the social cultural change, that how there has been an increase in the female labor participation rates. Because there has been an increase in the female workers joining the working population, joining the workforce, it has brought about a change in a lot of marketing strategies of the firms. The preferences are changing, the type of products, the nature of products that is needed, the features of products that are needed, it has been changed a lot. So the management also has to adjust accordingly with their policies, right? Say for example, if I talk about the food, right? This I generally talk about in my classes when I'm talking about the social and cultural environment. If we talk about the Indian environment, about the Indian households, right? Say a generation back approximately, the women were not a very large part of the working population. Generally, our mothers were housemakers, they were homemakers, they were housewives. So if I talk about the food practices, right, the food eating habits. So at that time, what used to happen, because the mother is at home, she would always like to give, fresh cooked food to son and daughter, to the family members. She would always like कि एकदम वो गर्मा गर्म उसी समय खाना बन के एकदम ताज़ा खाना घर वालों को दिया जाए, right? Now it was being done because it was feasible, because she's not a working mother, she can afford to do that. But if somebody is a working mother, they might not be able to do it. They might not be able to serve you hot food on the plate. They might be making food in the morning. You might have to heat it out on your own, or they might have to make some other arrangements for the food. So what has happened is a lot of market has been captured by the instant foods. There are packets which are available of instant foods which you can bring. You just have to boil it and the food is ready. Why has that come? If you think about, say, 15-20 years back, this concept would have been totally negated by our society कि खाना pre-packed खाना जिसको आप लाकर गरम कर रहे हो. Western societies में, Western countries में, it has been into practice since long, but Indian society में it was not. Why? Because herein, at that point of time, but 20-25 years back, there were very few women who were a part of working population. So majority was who were not working, who were looking after their household only. So therein they could manage to provide the cooked food, the freshly cooked food. But now, as more and more women are joining the workforce, they are having dual responsibility of managing their workplace as well as their household. The need of such instant foods has risen in the market. Right? So this is one of the examples how this change in the social and cultural environment brings about a change in the kind of products that is needed, or brings about a change in the marketing strategies of the firms, of the organizations. Then is economic and financial environment, wherein we talk about all these things. What is the nature of economic system of the country, whether it is a capitalist economy, it's a social economy, or it's a mixed economy. Then you talk about the economic structure, wherein you talk about the labor force, what is the national output, what is the investment pattern of the country, what is the capital formation policy. Then you have economic policies. Economic policies, may we talk about the export import policies, the industry policies, the monetary policy, fiscal policies. So if you talk about the economic and financial environment, it is an aggregate of a lot of things. What is the GDP of the country? What is the per capita income? Balance of payment kaisa hai? Are we more export oriented, or we are having more imports? What are the interest rates? Right? प्रोडक्ट मार्केट्स कैसे काम कर रहे हैं, फैक्टर मार्केट्स कैसे काम कर रहे हैं. All these things together formulate the economic and the financial environment of any country. Then we have the technological component. Now, technological component you all are aware of. You are living in a world where technology is changing rapidly. You look at any field and it is every few days a new technology is coming up. Now, when we are talking about technological component as an environmental component of any organization, the managers have to see that one thing is that they will have to keep up to date with the latest technology in their field. If some new machinery is coming, if some new technology is coming for the product which they are manufacturing, then they must be aware that how they have to keep in touch with those technologies, how they have to adapt to those technologies. And along with that, they also have to be aware of its work implications. So there are technology upgradations, there are technological advancements which may not relate directly to the product manufacturing, but otherwise. For example, the use of the social networking sites, the use of social media. This is what? This is a technological component. Now, if you are running a business, if you are manufacturing a product, if you are a big business house, it has become important that you should be, your products should be available not only on the shelf in the physical marketplace, but you also have to show your online presence. Similarly, if you talk about the social networking sites, then the use of social networking sites by the employees during the office hours. It has its advantages, it has its disadvantages as well. Use of social media, the putting up of your products on social media, it has its advantages, it has its disadvantages as well. Advantages that it is more widespread, you can cater to a much wider population, you have a much wider reach with your products and services. But at the same time, say, you must have seen that there are complaints about the products. So just one consumer or two consumers putting up complaints, putting up reviews about your product, if they put up the bad reviews, it is now visible to the entire community. It is now visible to the entire market base that you are trying to capture. जब सिर्फ फिजिकल प्लेस में होता था तो क्या होता था कि आपका, मान लो आपका कोई शॉप है जहां से लोग प्रोडक्ट्स खरीद रहे हैं, राइट? अब वो आते हैं, प्रोडक्ट खरीदते हैं, किसी एक का प्रोडक्ट ठीक नहीं निकला, so that person would have come back to your shop and complained over there कि ये प्रोडक्ट आपका ठीक नहीं निकला. अब वहां पर हो सकता है उस समय आपकी शॉप में 7-8 लोग और थे, 7-8 कस्टमर्स और खड़े थे. तो उस समय when this person gave a negative feedback, तो वो सिर्फ उन 7-8 लोगों ने सुना, तो आपका उतना मार्केट बेस इंपैक्ट हुआ. लेकिन अब जब आप सोशल नेटवर्किंग साइट्स की बात कर रहे हो, जब आप सोशल मीडिया की बात कर रहे हो, तब क्या होगा? If one of the person is not satisfied with your product and he or she puts a complaint which is not catered to, ठीक है, एक तो ये हो सकता है कि उसने कंप्लेंट डाली और कंपनी ने इमीडिएट एक्शन ले लिया, दैट विल गिव अ पॉजिटिव पिक्चर ऑफ द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. लेकिन किसी ने कंप्लेंट डाली है और वो लिख रहे हैं कि ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कुछ नहीं कर रही, प्रोडक्ट रिप्लेस नहीं कर रहे, दे आर नॉट हेल्पिंग अस आउट, anything negative about the organization. Now this will be read by each and every consumer who is presently your customer or who in future is going to be your consumer. हम क्या करते हैं, अब कहीं पे भी हमें जाना है, किसी जगह पे जाना है, तो सबसे पहले हम उसके रिव्यूज पढ़ते हैं. कोई प्रोडक्ट खरीदना है तो ऑनलाइन जाके उसके रिव्यूज पढ़ते हैं. So it has its positives and it has its negatives as well, which the managers must be aware of. Then we have natural environment, which consists of the climatic and geographical conditions, the natural resources of that area, the ecological system, the pollution levels, etc. I'll give you a very simple example of natural environment. Say if we talk about the automobile sector and the cars manufactured. Now you will see that the same company might be giving cars, might be manufacturing cars in India and in some foreign country as well. Now, if you will check out the make of that car, the body structure of that car, the kind of models they are coming up with, it differs from country to country. Why is that? One of the major reasons is the geographical conditions. Okay, जैसे say for example अगर मैं इंडिया की बात करूं, India is still in developing phase. तो हमारे यहाँ अभी भी बहुत सारे एरियाज ऐसे हैं जहाँ पे रोड्स बहुत अच्छी डेवलप नहीं है. There are a lot of areas which are having very good road infrastructure wherein you can travel easily, but there are many places at the same time which are not having very good road infrastructure. Now, if you will compare it vis-a-vis to a developed country, say US, then therein the road infrastructure is very well developed. तो जिस तरह की cars required हैं, क्या जिस तरह का अबव लेवल सरफेस रिक्वायर्ड है कार्स का कि वो रोड पे टच ना करें, रोड से ऊंची गाड़ी हो, कितना उनका हॉर्स पावर हो, ठीक है, किस तरह का इंजन लगा हो, दैट विल डिफर between the two countries. One of the reasons of that difference would be the geographical conditions, right? Similarly, you have the climatic conditions. Now if say within India, if I talk about the climatic conditions, now if I talk about Rajasthan, okay, वहां पर जाकर वुलन इंडस्ट्री लगाकर वुलन क्लोथ्स को बेचना उतना ज्यादा, बिकॉज इट्स अ डेजर्ट एरिया, इट्स मेजरली हॉट एंड ह्यूमिड, तो वहां पर वुलन उतना काम नहीं करेगा. ठीक है, वहां पर मैं अम्ब्रेलास की इंडस्ट्री खोलना चाहूँ क्योंकि वहां बारिश कम है रेगिस्तान में, तो वहां पर इट वोंट वर्क आउट. सो as a manufacturer, as a business person, I will have to think about the climatic conditions, the geographical conditions. जिस एरिया में मैं काम करना चाहती हूँ वहाँ कौन से नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज अवेलेबल हैं, क्या मुझे किसी नेचुरल रिसोर्स का यूज है, then I'll have to see whether it is available there or not, and so on. Last is the global environment. When you say the global environment, why are we talking about this in the part of macro environment? Because now we talk about the globalization, right? There have been certain developments which will always have a global impact. ठीक है, आपके एक किसी कंट्री में कुछ डेवलपमेंट होती है इंफॉर्मेशन एंड कम्युनिकेशन टेक्नोलॉजी में, इट इज गोइंग टू स्प्रेड आउट अक्रॉस अदर कंट्रीज एज वेल, राइट. इकोनॉमिक कंडीशंस किसी और कंट्री की कैन इम्पैक्ट माई इंडियन मार्केट. इफ आई एम एक्सपोर्टिंग माई प्रोडक्ट्स टू अ पर्टिकुलर कंट्री और वहां की इकोनॉमिक कंडीशंस खराब हो जाती हैं, then it is going to impact my exports, because now we are living in a globalized economy. So international uh, economic conditions, international political factors, the culture of other countries from wherein either we are taking products or we are giving our products. Then you have your international agencies, right? These international agencies have various countries as their members. So whatever decisions are taken over there, whatever things are discussed over there, it will have a very wide impact throughout on various countries. It will have an impact on me as well, although I'm sitting in India, right? So that is why, because now we are talking about MNCs, we are talking about globalized environment. That is why this global environment also becomes a component of my macro environment, especially if it's a large growing industry which wants to expand its business, which wants to go outside the country, or is having some kind of link with the outside country, maybe importing raw material or exporting their goods, then they will have to look into this global environment as well. So that is it about the components of the environment. Thank you for the day.